A Look at Finance is underwritten by Janney Montgomery Scott, trusted advisors for generations.
Well, welcome back, everyone. It's Thursday. Time for a look at finance with First Vice President Janney Montgomery Scott, financial advisor Steve Carlton.
Thanks, Jesse.
How are you doing?
Look at it, it's sunny outside.
It is.
I'm so glad. It's been so long. I don't remember the last time it was sunny out.
Hey, in case you're wondering what that sound is, it's not lightning or anything else. It's our hearts. I know it's going to sound a little soft, but Steve and I just got back from an event that, in our business, sometimes the things we do are just so rewarding. We just gave the Janney High Five Leadership Grant $1,000 to the recipient over at Fort Edward High School.
That's right.
That
Brittany
was
Sardini.
unbelievable.
Sardina, great young girl.
I know.
So much promise. What a great story. What a great story. The
Hey,
community,
we're going to have a full story on this tomorrow because we took cameras over with us. But I just want to take the opportunity to thank you again and Janney, but especially you, for just stepping up and offering this leadership grant. This is $1,000, as we saw, goes to a very deserving student who's really got a shot at life.
Well, Jesse, and thank you back to you. Janney Montgomery Scott wouldn't have been able to do this the last 5 seasons if it hadn't been you coming up with this great idea and this partnership. So this has been a lot of fun for us and just, quite frankly, a privilege to go to these schools and to meet these families. And, it's like you said, it's a highlight for me. I look forward to these moments.
I've been just buzzing about it all day long.
Yeah, it is.
May. Well, we did get some sun. I can see it out there.
Isn't it great?
Let's start with some May things. 55th annual Saratoga Horse Show.
That's when I know
we know
spring.
it's arrived, right?
Saratoga horses. It's spring, and I'm excited about it. The 7th through the 11th is when the show starts, and it's going to be great.
Well,
this year.
they're there now, actually,
Practicing,
right?
yeah.
Practicing, right? But the competitions, I think, are the 7th to the 11th. That's what we were told this morning.
Exactly, and that's going to be a ton of fun to do. I mean, that's a big 55 years annually doing this. So this is a great story. And
with and obviously with our discussions each week, the topic has to have something to do with finance. But of course, that's the beginning of the season when we start to see the population increasing, people coming into town, tourists, businesses in Saratoga proper, of course, starting to see the effects of there's more people in town and more people at the restaurants and the clothing stores and
My
all
goodness,
that
there's
stuff,
no question
right?
that horses in Saratoga, hand in hand for the last century. I mean, it's unbelievable what they have done to make the city what it is. So,
little sidebar: the horses can breathe a little easier. I think Saratoga came in with the cleanest air in New York State. What happened?
I tell you, it's a good feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We came out and clean air, fresh. It was just unbelievable. I'm thinking about going to Lake George this summer and going up to Hague and just taking this great big breath of fresh air, and it's a good thing. The clean energy, the clean diesel. We're seeing the school buses, the garbage trucks. All this technology coming out, and it's making a difference to the environment. So anybody that values those things, anybody that has a pair of lungs and likes to breathe, this is good news.
Yeah, that actually encompasses quite a few
Covers
species,
a lot,
I think, doesn't it? Hey, talking of which, something that people are debating about how it's going to affect the economy is, we're reporting it in the news tonight, that Lake George Commission is starting its invasive species act for this summer, setting up sites around the lake to make certain that the boats that go in there. There were pros and cons to that. People were saying, oh no, that's going to prevent people from wanting to come up, to go through the extra steps. Of course, it's a painless thing, and short-term thinking, long-term thinking.
Well, you know me,
just like you in the stock market, right?
Exactly. I mean, I look at this and I think long-term sustainability. We have developed this wonderful ecosystem, this wonderful environment that people travel from all over the country to come to, all over the world. And we're thinking long-term and saying we need to protect this. These invasive species, it's a very simple procedure to check the hull of the boat.
Right.
And it's great for the economy. I don't think anybody's going to be deterred by it. It's an extra few minutes to make sure that we protect and preserve what we have.
That's right, so that the long term is protected, which obviously affects tourism and affects local economies
Small
and all that
businesses,
stuff. Hey, big news. I don't understand the particulars, but I know you do.
Okay.
GE made a big announcement that affects our local economy.
Yes. We were talking about this early last week. Actually, all month, there's a lot of nervousness about Schenectady, the GE turbine business, the very, very critical infrastructure, 4,000 employees.
Wow.
And there's a deal going on right now where a French company that also makes the turbines for coal and nuclear plants. And so there was some nervous that this deal going through might affect the jobs in Schenectady. And so we get some good news this week's coming out. and I'm saying there's going to be cost savings to GE, there's going to be some overlap, but everything we're hearing so far is that the jobs that are in Schenectady are safe and secure, and overall I think this is going to be very good because this was a competitor that GE was coming up against on a national and a global level. This will help their bottom line. They will have a more stable, stronger presence globally. So I think good news all the way around, but it was a relief because some people were worried.
And even though it was a French company, it's important to note that that French company is operating in the United States as a direct competitor to GE.
Yeah.
So the fact that they may be able to go through with this purchase would just absolutely affect the local economy.
Yeah,
right?
think about how GE has, been such a dynamic contributor to our community, in this area. So yeah, this is I think good news overall. It creates stability for them for the next 20 years.
And I have one other topic that it does affect the local economy for sure. And I just want a professional's advice on this. A lot of talk about the minimum wage and the pros and cons. Hard topic to follow and a hard topic not to have your heartstrings tugged on because of the whole idea. But without endorsing pros or cons, I'd just like to know what they are.
Yeah, well, this is something that's been going on for a little while, and it's out of necessity. So the conversation has been really the wage needs to go higher. And so there, on one side of thinking is that inflation's eating into higher food prices, higher fuel prices, electrical bills are going up. People saw it this winter. We talked a lot about it, covered on the news. And so there's definitely a movement nationally to raise the minimum wage to $10.10.
Right.
To address the need that the cost of living for the average American, for the person that's on minimum wage, it's just not sustainable.
Right.
The challenge is, the other side, is to look at it and say, the GDP numbers, the growth numbers for first quarter this year, the economy's not as strong as it could be, and small businesses still are struggling in a significant way, locally and nationally. Putting that much strain on them for raising salaries may prevent them from growing, and it could possibly cause future layoffs.
Right.
And so I think it's one of those topics that's not going to go away. I think that the votes aren't quite there to make anything happen. But it is a very serious thing, and I think this is something that's going to continue to grow because all of the things that we need to survive on a daily basis, those costs seem to keep going higher. And
It's one of the reasons that I want to get your advice on it, an unbiased opinion from somebody who deals in finance every single day, because it becomes such a political football, and I hate that when that happens. But all of a sudden it's one side versus the other, when in reality it's about American wage earners, and the whole idea. And I think it's Seattle that was saying they were talking about $15 an hour.
yeah, I mean, think back to the 1970s. I think the real problem is not minimum wage. I think the real problem is inflation. When food prices go up 20, 25%, an increase in your salary doesn't keep pace. When healthcare costs, when fuel, and all these things. So I think the real thing that's really making families concerned is their dollar isn't going as far.
Right.
So I think both sides are looking at this saying there needs to be a solution. It's a difficult thing, and I look back at the 1970s where we had CDs at 18-19%. Paul Volcker, the Treasury, interest rates 20%.
That's right.
People's wages went up every year, but it didn't solve it because inflation was too high.
It was running rampant.
Right,
Yes,
and so that's the thing that I look at. I think this conversation needs to be, how do we keep inflation in check? Not CPI, not consumer price index, but the things that go up and are more volatile.
Well, we're going to revisit this subject a lot, okay?
Absolutely.
Because in our viewing area, Saratoga, Warren, and Washington County, we have people that earn a lot of money here in Saratoga, and we have a lot of people in the more rural areas, our viewership area, that are close to minimum wage. So, just want to try to follow this story, especially from your perspective.
Yeah, so many local small businesses too. Yeah, everybody's talking about this, so it's big.
Well, happy May.
Yeah, thanks, Jesse. Always good to be here.
And I'll see you next week.
Thanks so much.
To see this interview again, head to our website, looktvonline.com.